I really didn't give a proper introduction. I get a little bit nervous. But anyway, Poe did not succeed very well financially, even though he served in many capacities as an editor, a literary critic. He wrote poems, he wrote prose, probably one of the first people to write short stories. But he said if he had had a choice, he would have preferred to write poems. And if you get a chance this month, read some of his poems. They're absolutely beautiful. And by your leave, we'll just go ahead and do the two poems that Marianne and John are going to do. John is an artist, and I'm sure that you all know him. He's a beautiful artist, actually. And I asked my board for suggestions of someone that could read, and they suggested John, and I agreed with him. He has a lovely voice, plus he tells great stories, so if you ever get a chance to talk to him, enjoy one of his stories. And Marianne, of course, she intimidates me. She does everything well, and she's such an inspiration. And she told me, we were talking the other day, and she was telling me that Edgar Allan Poe could speak and write several languages: French, Spanish,
Italian, Latin. Yet he never managed to graduate from either university. Got thrown out both of them for drugs, drinking, and gambling.
Yeah.
University of Virginia and West Point.
West Point.
Didn't graduate from either one, but his vocabulary is absolutely phenomenal.
And the most interesting story she told me was, did you know how the Baltimore Ravens got their name? Because he was a favorite son.
They chose that football. And I hooked my junior English football players. Right after that happened, I walked in, I said, what's Baltimore's name? Baltimore team's name. And of course, they all knew it immediately. And I said, you know why they chose the Ravens? I had them hooked on that, and they went right into Edgar Allan Poe, and they liked it.
And now John will read The Raven, and after he finishes, Marianne will read Annabelle Lee.
The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, merely napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, "only this and nothing more." Distinctly I remember it was the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I sought to borrow from my book surcase of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angel named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is, I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wandering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore, merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely there is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon the bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the graven stern decorum of the continents it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, though, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me why thy lordly name is on the night's plutonium shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marveled this unsightly fowl to hear discourse so plainly. Through its answers, though its answers little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in the one word did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than mothered. Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled, in the stillness broken, by reply so aptly spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his song one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking, fancy into fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing. To the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core, this and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining, with the lamplight glored over, but whose violet lining, with the lamplight gloring over, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfume from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled to the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God has sent thee, but these angels he has sent thee. Respite, the napony from the memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this pine napony, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempter tossed thee from a shore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted. On this home by horror haunted, tell me truly I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me I implore. Quote the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. By the heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden, it shall clasp the sainted maiden whom the angels named Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Quote the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from my door. Quote the raven, nevermore. And the raven still flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out the shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
The Lost Lenore in The Raven and Annabel Lee, the poem I've chosen to read, both symbolize Poe's and show Poe's great love and his sense of loss of his beloved wife, Virginia, who was his first cousin. And part of the reason that Poe was not so successful in his life was his marriage to his young first cousin. She was only 13 when they married, but she was the love of his life, and she died early. They were only together 4 years before she died of tuberculosis. And it seemed as if some of Poe's best literary works were written after that time, but he was in a downward spiral as far as his personal life was concerned. Annabel Lee. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her highborn kinsmen came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in the sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
That concludes our program, and thank you, Mary Ann, and thank you, John.
Thank you.